On this episode of The Number, we're going back in time to look at a car that's one of the pioneer founders of the automotive industry. And along the way, we've dredged up an automotive artifact that's over 100 years old. My name is Dennis David. I own Vintage Motor Car Enterprises, and I appraise cars. Sometimes they're big, and sometimes they're small. But everyone who calls is always looking for the same thing. They want to know what they've got, and they want to know what it's worth. In other words, they're looking for one thing, and that's the number. Today's car we're looking at is awesome. We don't see too many cars like this. It's really, really old. It's also a full CCCA classic. Unusual in a number of ways. I'd love to tell you more about it, but I think the photos will speak for themselves on this one. Let's hit the road. So the weather is a little foggy today, but I'm still taking out the Jeepster with the top down. I love the Jeepster. It's an awesome car. Jeepsters came out in 1948 and were built to about 1950. Some were actually sold as 51s. What's interesting about them is they were built by Willis Overland to kind of tap the market of GIs who had returned home from World War II, but what they failed to realize was that nobody wanted to be reminded of that. But I love mine. It's a great car, great for tooling around, and never fails to turn heads. And here's our subject car. It's a 1926 Franklin Series 11A Victoria. The Franklin Car Company got its start in 1903 in Syracuse, New York, and they were known for their air-cooled engines and for their lightweight as compared to many other luxury cars. They were also widely promoted by Amelia Earhart and Charles Lindbergh, and Lindbergh actually drove a 1928 Franklin Airman Sport Sedan. They had a strange front end when they started, but around 1923, in order to be more conventional, they actually redesigned the car and made it look like it had a radiator when it actually didn't, because they were actually air-cooled. Sadly, the Great Depression ended Franklin in 1934, and they drove off to the pages of history. Our subject car is a older restoration, and the Victoria body style is really nice. That is an older body style that kind of just had a knack for hiding the rear passengers when the car was going along. And here's our Franklin owner, Kit Foster.
How are you?
Good to see you again.
Good to see you again. How are you?
Well, what's going on?
Oh, we got a nice, fabulous Franklin here. I'm glad you come over.
It really looks nice. So, what can you tell us about this car?
Well, the interesting thing is that, I mean, this just looks like an ordinary car from the 1920s, right?
So, Kit, I know there's a lot going on in terms of the radiator with this car. There's a story behind that, but can we take a look at the engine while you're telling us about that? Mm-hmm. Let's see. Aluminum.
Yes. Aluminum crankcase, aluminum transmission, aluminum oil sump.
So I've got to ask you, aluminum. How does a car like this escape the scrap drives of World War II?
Well, that's why you don't see very many of them.
Okay.
They did become in demand, or people felt they could sacrifice them because of all of the aluminum.
Right.
So there weren't an awful lot of Franklins to begin with, but the World War II did take its toll.
So is there enough aluminum in here to keep the soft drink industry in cans for a year at least?
Probably, yeah.
All right, well, walk us around. Obviously, that radiator isn't really there. It's more there for looks, right?
It. Yeah, actually, if you get back here, you can see, you can look right through it. It's fake.
So, Kit, we know this car is a certain body style. Let's take a look at the interior. And Opera, that's the word here?
They called it Victoria Coupe.
Okay.
Some manufacturers called this an Opera Coupe.
Okay.
Driver's seat does not move.
Okay.
And you see how much leg room there is?
Not a lot.
There between the passenger seat. Mm-hmm. There's even less here.
That's right, exactly.
So the only way 5 people could ride in here was if one of them was an amputee.
Okay.
Now, the passenger seat, in order to get into the back seat, you need room to pass through. So this nicely folds here, and folds there. And now there's plenty of room to get in.
So, Kit, I've got to ask you, in a front-end collision, where do we find this person after this seat is folded up?
Probably out here on the hood, because we didn't see any seat belts in there because the car does not have seat belts.
Strangely enough, Kit, the 48 Jeepster that I drove here has the same exact setup as you know. Okay, fold the seat.
Yes,
and,
yes,
So,
Jeep station wagons had that too.
So 20 years later, they still hadn't learned.
No,
Yeah. All right, this is an awesome car, but we're going to get going on some of the details on it. So I'm going to do a quick walk around and just stick around so I can ask you a few questions on it. Stuff. Okay. All right. Thank you.
full car, you can't do that.
Okay, Kit, we've looked everything over. Can we take it for a ride?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Thanks.
So I'm really having a lot of fun driving around in this Franklin. Driving a car from the 1920s is so different from driving a car even from the 1930s or 40s. There was a huge step made during that time with the refinement of the automobile. I'm impressed with the way Kit's Franklin handles. It's pretty steady on the road. It's got a little bit more power than you think it would, and it's just a great time driving around in it.
All right, and our last question, Kit. What's the reason for the valuation on this car today?
Well, I'm not planning to sell it, but it's good to have an credible insurance value.
Kit, it's a great car. Thanks for showing it to us, and we'll be back to you with some numbers, okay?
Okay, great.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
So we're back on the road from looking at Kit's Franklin. I gotta say, it's a very impressive car. It was really nice to drive around in. It's just an unusual car in a sense. You just don't see many of these, and to see one on the road running as good as his is just absolutely amazing. On our way back, and I'm gonna start to look at some numbers, but I've also got to do a change of clothes because I gotta run over to our Rick's because some time ago I picked up a really, really old gas pump. We're doing a restoration on it, and I understand he's made some progress.
What's happening, guys?
Hey, how's it
going?
Jake?
Jake?
How you doing?
What's going on, man? Good to see you.
Good to see
Jake,
you.
you're working hard over there?
Yeah.
All right. So here's our pump, right?
Yeah, that's our pump.
That's
along
nice.
With multiple projects we've got.
It's coming along pretty nice, right?
So the Gilbert Barker Company started in 1870 in Springfield, Massachusetts, and they made some of the first gas pumps. Their first series of pumps were different because they actually metered the amount of gas being dispensed. The company was renamed Gilbarco in 1929 and was part of the Standard Oil Company and then Exxon for over 100 years. Today, the company is owned by Veeder-Root and its headquarters are in Simsbury, Connecticut. Ours is a T-Series and it's actually the T88. A lot of cool features about it and should look really great when it's done.
All right, well, let me show you these parts that I worked on for this, all right?
We'll start with that, and then I'll
Okay.
show you where we are with the pump.
Okay, let's take a look.
So this is the clock face dial that does the counting, as you know, and this one has the arrow on it there. And these are all the badges that we shined up as best we can, and I think that they'll be fine.
Well, I think they're beautiful.
Yeah, and I ordered the correct rivets to put them in too.
Awesome.
All right. So let's take a look at it and see exactly how far you've gotten since sandblasting. Okay.
Sure. Let's
All right.
put this back in the box so we don't lose anything.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so tell me what we got so far. I mean, when I got it back from sandblasting, there weren't too many rough spots, but what have you done so far?
Well, what happened here, the sandblaster did a great job. Everything came out clean, but this is cast, and it was very porous. And I was worried about our artwork not sticking well and looking bumpy. So I had no choice but to put a skim coat of filler on it. And as you can feel, I've sanded it down smooth.
Yeah.
You won't even tell after I do, it's perfect. High build primer and sand it.
Right.
And on the inside, I've got it all cleaned up,
Yep.
ready. It's taped off. So what we'll do is everything has a separate color. This will be cast.
Right.
And we're going with a shell theme, so we'll have probably yellow, possibly red. I got to look at some historical pictures and go from there, but this will be probably cast aluminum it's really gonna pop.
So we need to talk about delivery for this because in the research that I did, this is an early pump. Shell was around.
Okay.
Okay, so Shell, so I'm thinking Shell, we get the nice Shell emblem here. And I noticed also when you go back to Spy, which we're talking like what, 1905 or so, 1910, it wasn't called gas, it was called spirits, right? So it's
Motor Spirit.
Motor Spirit, so it's gonna say Shell Motor Spirits, right?
If you like that, I like that theme. I was already thinking in my head, red and yellow is gonna pop. So
So you're talking red for the body, yellow out here?
that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that would really look great.
That's gonna look awesome. But one of the things that really makes a pump like this pop is they actually had a cast globe tower, and I can't find one, and they're hardly even reproduced. There's somebody who does it, but he's in between them right now. I understand you were telling me Jake had an idea for something here.
Yeah, Jake came up with a pretty great idea.
What do you got, Jake?
Yeah, so I was out back. I found this piece of black pipe. So I was thinking we could somehow mount it on top like this,
Okay.
and then we can fabricate something to put a globe on top.
Actually, they sell a globe mount that I think will go right on there. That would be perfect, right? Oh, that's gonna look awesome.
So with Jake's idea, I took a piece of cardboard, made a pattern,
Yep,
somewhat authentic,
yep.
and recreated it on steel. Once we get this welded with the base that you can get us reproduction,
Yep.
we'll be very close to original.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think the originals were cast,
Right.
but ours will be welded steel, but
Yep.
the look will be there.
I mean, the globe is what makes this kind of project. you know?
Absolutely.
So, and also under wraps here, because we covered that for sandblasting, that's an original Gilbert Parker. It has the GB emblem on there, so that's huge. That's cool.
really,
It's going to make it look
gonna
really
pop.
good.
It's gonna look
Yeah,
amazing.
and I think Shell it is. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I think Shell would look cool on it.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so if I order the parts, they usually are in like a week. What are you looking at for paint here?
I could probably have this ready for you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Okay, I'll get the parts ordered. Get going on the paint. You guys do what you got to do. I will get the decals back over here, and let's see if we can pull this together. I'd love to have it down the barn in a couple of weeks. Look great. I got just a spot for it.
Perfect.
Yep.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Have yourselves a great night.
You too. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
So it's been about a week since we looked at Kit's Franklin, and an amazing car, and I've done some research on it. So we have some good data to work with in this car, and I'm just ready to put the number on it. But Rick just called and said that the gas pump was done and on its way, and I hear him pulling up now, so I want to take a look at that. Remember, this thing is heavy. Right?
Got a hand truck.
Okay. All right, let's do it. Man, this thing is heavy.
It is. Good thing for
All
the
right.
hand truck.
Right over here towards the center.
All right.
Okay, hang on. All right, bring it forward. Okay, a little bit over this way.
It's struck out. We'll walk it in.
Okay,
Perfect.
awesome. All right, so we got some other parts to put on, right?
Yes, you got the globe, I hope.
I got the globe and I got the hose. So let me get that.
Perfect. Here's your
Already got it. This is
I couldn't wait to see it put on.
Yeah. All right. It goes out that way. You got the globe?
Oh yes, the finishing touch.
All right. Oh yeah. Yeah, that looks nice. Let's see. Yep, there we go.
Check if
Jake,
you
want to do the
right.
honors?
Oh,
Okay, the
yes.
cord's in here, right? Ready, Jake?
Yep.
All right, go ahead. Oh yeah!
All right, you did it.
Oh yeah! Jake, you did a fine job. That looks really cool, doesn't it?
Yes. But our friend did a great job with that.
He really did. Knocked it out of the park. And this Shell logo actually matches that one there. Yep. Absolutely perfect.
You're happy, we're happy.
Yep. All right, guys.
Thanks for dropping by. Came out awesome. Jake, nice job as usual.
Thank you.
What's our next project, dude?
Whatever you bring down the road.
Oh, we'll come up with something.
Oh, I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So I'm back here at the desk looking at the numbers for the Franklin, but I got to say the gas pump came out absolutely amazing. To see a gas pump that old look that nice, Rick really knocked this one out of the park. As far as the Franklin, we did find some cars that were comps, and I'm comfortable putting a number on this car of $27,000. This was an amazing car to do. I enjoyed looking at it, I enjoyed riding in it, and it's just something you don't get to do every day. On the next episode of The Number, we're taking a look at some vintage 1960s muscle. And we're headed to the racetrack with the friendly mobile service number 5. See you then.